Dad, are you gonna get us a new mom?
I don't want another. Your mom was the only woman for me. She was the love of my life. But with love comes loss, son. It's part of the deal. Sometimes it hurts, but in the end, it's all worth it. There's no greater gift than love.
With love comes loss. I knew that when I started this podcast series, this was never going to last forever. I started this way back in 2023 when we first started this podcast. It was one of the first 3 episodes I ever came out with, and that first episode in this series sounds awful. In fact, most of these episodes sound pretty awful, but that first 3, it sounds terrible. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a fan of it. But still, I've grown a lot as this series has gone on. There's been a lot of growth just from me as a pretty terrible podcaster to a kind of intermediate / decent podcaster. And now we're here talking about How to Train Your Dragon 3, written and directed by Dean DeBlois. We have Roger Deakins back as a visual consultant, so the movie looks breathtaking cinematography-wise. I'm not sure how far he went with that visual consulting in this movie, but still, it looks incredible. The animation overall just looks really, really good from start to finish. This whole trilogy has had a lot of great animation, but this one is beautiful. Also, we have John Powell coming back on the score. Most of the cast is back here. The main gang is all here still, except for one of the voice actors. He's not here in the movie. Talk about that way later at the end. But still, this movie is a lot. It's a lot of movie. Being the end, the cap off to this trilogy is everything. It's just so much. I really do love these movies. I mean, unconditional love. What does it mean to love something or someone unconditionally? This trilogy of movies, as I watched the third one, I realized I do love these movies. What is unconditional love? What if you loved someone if they didn't even love you back? That's what I think maybe unconditional love is. Loving something or someone forever and always, no matter what. That's how I feel with this trilogy. It's been a beautiful journey, a beautiful set of movies, and this third one isn't the best, but it's still a great cap off to the overarching trilogy. And obviously, of course, this Friday, we do have the new How to Train Your Dragon live-action movie. I'll talk about that at the very end if I'm excited for that, I guess. But still, the new film's coming out with something coming to a beginning. We should be coming to a close with this podcast series. I feel like I've been doing a lot of procrastinating and prolonging the end of this episode and this trilogy of this podcast series just to kind of hold on to these movies for a bit longer. But, you know, I knew I eventually had to do this, and today is maybe the best day to do that thing. And as we've gone through all of these movies, the first movie, How to Train Your Dragon, it's an incredible film with great animation and score, with Roger Deakins, like I said, back in that visual consulting. It has great cinematography along with all these movies, but still, writer-director Dean DeBlois, he did an awesome job at making the themes about that first movie, finding yourself, finding who you are, and being true to that person. Then, as the second film came along, the audience was definitely maturing a lot. Therefore, the movie had to mature as well. And in that second movie, we had a lot about taking responsibility. And in this third movie, it's about letting go of the past. And I think being an adult, it's something that we all can relate to. And in this movie, we relate to a lot of these themes. And, you know, in this film, there's dragons and Vikings and crazy stuff going on. But still, they are able to find that middle ground in terms of what we can make ourselves able to relate to. And in this movie, it's about letting go of the past, letting go of something or someone to therefore grow into the person you need to be. I think this film just captures those themes so beautifully. It might just be the perfect way to end this series of films. I mean, having Toothless and Hiccup become this great pair of the cowboy and his horse to, at a point here, they become actual brothers in that second movie, and now it comes time to where they have to say goodbye. They have to let go of the dragons and these connections for the better of the entire world. And of course, before I even talk about the themes of the movie, let me just go into the very quick real life things with this movie, like, you know, box office and reviews and stuff. Number one, this film's coming out in 2019. 2019 was one of the greatest years for film ever. There is so many incredible films here. I can sit here all day talking about just the sheer magnitude of incredible movies. It was like every week there was a brand new movie that was just better than last in some crazy way. Like Bong Joon-ho's Parasite, Joker, with Joaquin Phoenix, Midsommar, Knives Out, Little Women, which was from Greta Gerwig, an incredible movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Avengers Endgame capping off a 10-year journey in that 3-hour epic. Jojo Rabbit was an incredible, crazy Nazi Germany World War II movie. Us, The Lighthouse, 1917, Spider-Man Far From Home, Uncut Gems. Portrait of a Lady on Fire is an incredible indie film that is so beautiful and spectacular. Marriage Story, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker doesn't even exist, but it came out this year. Sound of Metal, Booksmart, The Irishman, It Chapter 2, once again, doesn't exist, but still came out this year as well. Also, Toy Story 4, Ford vs. Ferrari, John Wick 3, Waves is Waves. It's incredible. Even in TV, we have Chernobyl, which is an incredible TV show. There's a massive list of movies and shows that came out this year that really is just hitherto dreamt of. It just doesn't match with anything at all. So 2019 is a very competitive year, not just for this movie, but for all movies. I mean, this movie having to compete with just great, incredible animated movies that got a lot of hype also. I mean, Toy Story 4 came out this year. The live-action Lion King is awful, but still, it came out this year, made $1 billion at the box office. So for this movie to make even $1 million is a huge, massive amount of respect from me and from the entire world for being able to compete in such a very highly contested market. Looking at this film here, it had a budget of $129 million and it made $521.8 million. Definitely, I think, maybe should have been more, but still, like I said, this is just an incredible stacked year. For this film to even gross $500 million, that's a very big mark. I feel like maybe this movie wasn't seen as much. It was just, like I said, a very contested year. So many things were out. Maybe people were just kind of exhausted by how many movies were coming out that this movie maybe didn't do that good. But still, it's very solid. Rotten Tomatoes has a 90% critic score, 87% audience score. Still very, very solid. We do have one single review here from a Roger Ebert website from Neil Minow, who gave this film a 3.5 out of 4 stars. Definitely a solid score. And in their review, I have a small little blurb here. They said the final chapter of the How to Train Your Dragon saga is visually stunning and emotionally satisfying, with a conclusion that may leave the parents in the audience a little teary-eyed. And I'll admit that I did cry at the end of the movie, which it's not surprising. I never watched this film in theaters myself, but still, I saw it a very long time ago at home, and it was just a beautiful movie. And this is my first time rewatching it in years now, and it still held up, and it might be even better than what I thought it was before. But still, this movie, I think, isn't the best in the trilogy. I said it before, I'll say it again. This movie is solid. It's a great ending to the trilogy, but it's kind of like how, you know, the Dark Knight trilogy is great overall, but The Dark Knight Rises is a solid ending, but it's not the best movie in the entire trilogy. The best movie in the Dark Knight trilogy is easily The Dark Knight, the second movie. And, you know, Dark Knight Rises is a very weak movie compared to the rest of those movies in that trilogy. But still, this one's solid. It's just not as good as its other counterparts, which are 2 and 1, which I think are just a lot better. And over on Letterboxd, we have a 3.7 out of 5 average. I have one review here from Maddie, who gave the score a 4 out of 5, and said, I think DreamWorks just loves to make people cry, which I think is very accurate. It was a very solid review. Made me definitely appreciate that someone else shared my same feelings with this movie. So with those reviews out of the way, I'll make sure I obviously leave them down below in the show notes. If you want to read them fully or explore them more, you can do that on your own time. But we have a lot of things to go through with this movie and talk about here. Just starting off here, off rip, the opening scene of this movie is crazy. I love the introduction of Toothless and Hiccup, showing just how far they've come. It's actually not that big of a jump from 2 to 3 with this whole trilogy. With that first movie to the second movie, it was a solid amount of time, but definitely a chunk of time that was taken away here. But with the gap from 2 to 3, it's only a year. So we've had a little bit of time pass, but not that much, which is definitely, I think, appreciated. I would have liked maybe more time to pass, but still, it is what it is. It's kind of whatever. I love in the opening seeing Toothless and Hiccup just farm off rip, just showing that they are definitely a top 5 duo in cinematic history. I can say that fairly confidently. Toothless and Hiccup can take out mostly anyone in cinema. I mean, Daenerys and Drogon in Game of Thrones, wiped, done, finished, doesn't even matter. Or if you're talking about, what's his name in House of the Dragon? Aegon and, I forgot, I don't even watch that show in a while, I'm sorry. Aegon in House of the Dragon and his Red Dragon, they're definitely getting wiped by Toothless and Hiccup easily. That's a fight I would love to see. Oh my goodness. But sorry, I'm getting off track. I love House of the Dragon too, if you couldn't tell. But still, opening of the movie, Toothless and Hiccup or farming walking through the fire is crazy. I love that whole night raid thing. I love just the smoke in the air, seeing the highlights, the splash of highlights with the fire is a very cool touch. I love that. Is that a little bit of that Roger Deakins, visual consulting going on? I feel like it is. I feel like that could be something that he, had a little bit of an influence on. I like that a lot. It's a very cool opening sequence. And off rip, I can definitely see that the animation has come a very long way. The scene of Toothless and Hiccup flying to Burke, and then the camera kind of pans to Burke with all of those dragons, that is an insanely animated scene. That is animated so well. It doesn't feel like it's like an AI-generated copy-paste kind of thing. That scene, that image feels alive. These scenes and moments feel alive. That's how it's felt throughout the trilogy, but here it's just at its peak. I mean, obviously, the technology has come a very long way from 2 to 3. That's made it even better than what it already was, which, I mean, that's another huge plus for these movies, that it definitely does feel like a massive improvement each time, but the animation overall is just always beautiful, and you're definitely going to be always knocked off your seat every time the movie comes on. And also off rip, this movie definitely does show us the themes and where this movie's going. It shows us in the beginning. It shows definitely that they're going to have to say goodbye to the dragons. I love that Hiccup's mom says that they're relying too much on the dragons and not on each other as much, which definitely, obviously shows that they're reliant too heavily on the dragons to a degree that makes it harmful for them to be around in a way that's more so metaphorical and mental instead of, harmful, like they're hurting them. More so harmful as in it's hindering them and their ability to show what they really can be. So off the rip, I do love these great themes introduced and showing Hiccup wanting to go to the hidden world of dragons that his father at one point wanted to go to close off all dragons from the world. I do love these things. I love the themes of this movie so far. But what I don't like is the meh and forgettable villain. Although it is important conflict, the villain of this movie is forgettable, I would say. I would say it's forgettable. I would say that it's not really needed, even though it is needed. I could have done without a villain in this movie. I know there's a lot of films out there that it's like you don't really need a villain, but still you gotta have one because you just have the feeling that you need to have a villain sometimes in these kind of movies. And that first movie, in How to Train Your Dragon 1, doesn't have a big bad villain. We have that big dragon, but there's still no big bad villain in the first movie, which is something that I do love about it. It makes us really have more time to care and love this duo and enjoy those themes nicely. But in this third movie, I feel like the villains are just there for conflicts. Like, hey, I'm villain for conflict A, this is villain for conflict B, C, and D right here. That's all it is. I feel like I don't get any time to care about them, not root for them, but care about their goals and ambitions and really care about who they are. It's never really happened in this movie, which is definitely something to be desired, I will admit. And it is important to the conflict. I do also love F. Murray Abraham. He's an incredible voice actor for this role. He's definitely a very underrated casting. I love him in a lot of his movies he's been in. He was in The Grand Budapest Hotel. He was very solid in that movie. And other films. He's not like a big name actor, but still, his voice acting, we can tell, is incredible. I've seen him in, like I said, Grand Budapest, Inside Llewyn Davis. He's a solid actor and a solid voice actor here too. He's really awesome for the role. Adds that level of presence that I really do enjoy. But still, there is a villain problem. I'll say it like that. That's a very big minus. The villain problem, it's something that can happen even in Marvel films. How you have a villain in there just because, hey, we need to have a villain because we need to. That's not really something that I do enjoy all the time. I think there is a way to have a villain in the movie while also still making the villain interesting. Like a big example here, Ultron. Avengers of Ultron is a solid villain, super interesting, a very cool backstory. And, that's a very good villain to have in a movie. I just watched Man of Steel. We're doing Man of Steel Friday. I'm swapping it here. But still, I just watched Man of Steel. Zod is a crazy, fun, and good villain. I love Zod a lot. I love that with Zod, I get to know more of him, which I think that is something that I feel is missing from this movie. It's not the end of the world. It's not like we came here for the villain. What's the villain's name? You don't know, I don't know, and no one really cares. Let's talk about Hiccup and Toothless a little bit more and just call it a day. That's how these films have been played out and strung along here, which isn't a bad thing, but, it's left to be desired a lot of the time. And once again, not saying the villain's not important. The villain definitely does play a crucial role at really forcing Burke to leave and go to find the hidden road and find a new home. That is the main goal of the villain. He does that very, very well in this movie. I mean, that's definitely adding crucial conflict and moving the story in the direction that it really needs to be. And I love the continuous, reiterations of this theme of letting go, how Hiccup deciding to leave Burke, that's such a huge decision, mainly because, we've had these films for only 2 movies, but still, Burke has been the center point, really, of everything. I mean, the opening scene in this entire trilogy is on Burke. I mean, that's really the home that our characters live in, and therefore, it's our home. We all care about Burke, but still, Hiccup says that Burke is a people, not a place. And that really does drive it home. I think that it's definitely still a massive moment. One that I hate. I don't hate them leaving Burke, but still, I appreciate the boldness of them having to leave their home and making those pivotal decisions like that is huge. It's a lot. And also, him letting go of Burke really does show just how much Hiccup has grown as a character. Seeing him go from that first movie, no one knows him, no one respects him, to now, here in the third film, he's chief of Burke, and then deciding to make these huge, massive, pivotal decisions, leading an entire people and leading their bloodlines in the direction of their history. That is just crazy to see the growth of this character throughout the trilogy, seeing him grow from a child to a man to a leader of this Viking village, and his journey through masculinity. It's everything. I really do appreciate seeing the growth before my eyes. Like, it was nothing. It's a lot. It's very cool. I love the maturity. I love it all. I really do appreciate all of it. It's insane. The Light Fury also is maybe the most pivotal moment in this movie, mainly because of what the Light Fury does for the movie, the way it impacts our, cowboy and its horse, Hiccup and Toothless, seeing the way the Light Fury does affect that in a, I think, very natural way. Seeing that is the thing that makes Hiccup and Toothless drift apart is a Light Fury. Is one of your friends meeting a girl and leaving you. That happens a lot in life and friendships, and it's just whatever. It is what it is. Hiccup giving Toothless his freedom only because Toothless finally wants freedom because he found a Light Fury. He never really wanted it before until now, is what we're told. But I think that it is kind of crazy for Hiccup to want to give Toothless his freedom up until now. It took this long for him to want to give him his freedom. Maybe he wasn't smart enough yet, but still, I think it's a lot showing that, yes, they say in the movie that at least Hiccup and Toothless decided not to because Toothless didn't really want that. But I think that it may show that Hiccup and Toothless were so bonded to each other for so long and got so comfortable that they never wanted to let go of each other. They never thought that they could be anything without one another, which is definitely what makes their duo so great, but also shows just how wrong they were, They're their own people with strengths and abilities that they really don't see without one another, which I definitely think is what makes them so great once again, but still, it's what they're so flawed on mentally, because Hiccup is Hiccup not because of Toothless, but Toothless is definitely a byproduct of why Hiccup is so great, and also vice versa with Toothless. I definitely think that that's something that is real for a lot of people, and not just for your boys and for your homies, but for everyone around the world, having to let someone go, naturally drifting apart from your friend because you're both grown up and grown older and just not the same people anymore. It is what it is. I mean, you grow up, you lose people, that's life. So, Toothless finding a Light Fury, finding his partner in this movie isn't a bad thing. The Light Fury and the hidden world can give Toothless things that Hiccup will never be able to give Toothless. That's just the reality of it. It's not like Hiccup can act like a mate and make a mate out of thin air for Toothless. He had to go find that on his own, and he did. And now it's this thing that, it's like it's not a bad thing for him to drift apart, but still, it's just life. Hiccup never chose to lose his dad, but he kind of needed to let Toothless go for the better of his well-being. That just had to happen for this movie and for himself to come to this complete art circle. And the hidden world sequences, also just a minor side note, are just beautifully animated. I think that maybe in my head, I don't really know exactly what a hidden world of dragons should look like, but still, this is exactly what it should look like at the end of the day. It looks incredible. All the dragons, all the lights, it looks like something just so foreign to our world and something that's from our world, but not that I've seen before, which sounds so dumb, but it's still just so obvious that this is what it really should be. It looks incredible, animated beautifully, no notes for that at all. Another thing, never mentioned it up until now, but I love that Stoic is still here in this movie. One, the flashback scenes are everything. They're just so incredible. The one scene of, we have a flashback of Stoic telling Hiccup that there's a hidden world out there somewhere. I'm going to find it and close it up. That's a great scene. I love that. I love seeing Stoic still here. Even if there's no flashbacks, the character and the person that Stoic was is so much bigger than the entire movie that he's just always there in the back of our heads, in the back of the characters' heads. Stoic the Vast was really everything. That is a character that's always going to be here forever. I love it. Love it all. I love Stoic. He's great. I also, Gerard Butler coming back for the role of Stoic in the new movie, that's a big plus. No one can do Stoic like him. That's a very solid and definitely understandable choice for them to do that. But the scene with Stoic that I think just stood out to me the entire movie, when I was watching it, stood out. After I watched it, it stands out even more, is with love comes loss. That is just the thing that I think captures the entire movie. With love comes loss. When, young Hiccup comes to Stoic and asks them, when are we going to get a new mom after their mom got taken away? Stoic says, I don't want another. Your mom was the only woman for me. She was the love of my life, but with love comes loss, son. It's part of the deal. Sometimes it hurts, but in the end, it's all worth it. There's no greater gift than love. And that's a thing that I think encapsulates the entire movie and perfectly wraps the entire theme and everything with the entire trilogy with one beautiful bow. With love comes loss. There's no deal. We know that at some point we're going to have to say goodbye to everything, whether it's our life, which sounds very morbid and dark right now, but everyone's going to die one day. And we all love being alive, and we love our life, and we love the world, but still one day with love comes loss. We're all going to die one day, and that's going to be the end of it. We all know that when we meet a partner, with love, eventually one of you is going to die. So you're going to have to say goodbye to that person when you die, or if that person dies, you have to say goodbye to them when they're on their deathbed. It's a very sad and morbid thing to say, but still, with love comes loss. Nothing lasts forever. Everything has an expiration date, and still, love is a part of that deal. I think that maybe what makes us love so much is that one day it is all going to end. There's definitely an urgency to love something or someone as hard as you can before that end date comes. And even when that loss happens and all that love that you have for that thing is somewhere inside of you, just not knowing where to go, you put that love into something else or someone else. That's a part of the deal. With love comes loss, and that's what the film does incredibly well. I couldn't really find a better way to end this trilogy of movies besides that. That is what it does so incredible. That's why I love these movies. It's so much more. It really does mature with the audience. That first movie is a kid's movie. Second movie for young adults and teens. And the third movie is just for adults and people just struggling with everything. I love it all. This trilogy is insane. But still, we're in the third act. It's third act time right now. Third act is huge. It's awesome. It's everything. It's the massive third act to this massive trilogy. Yet, I'm not the biggest fan of it the entire way. I do have some cons about it. First of all, I do love the action fight scenes, and all the side characters are also here and very fun. I've really mentioned them before. The side characters, I will say, the side characters don't have a lot of time to shine. I'll say, which is definitely understandable. I mean, I do love Hiccup's mom and also Snot Loud, but still, we're not here for them, respectfully. We're not here for them. We're here for mainly Hiccup and Toothless, and also Astrid are the main characters in this movie. They carry the entire thing on their back, which is understandable. It's their film. It's a massive movie. Not a lot of time to play around with the other characters all that much, but still, they're here. They're awesome. They're fun. I love all of them. Also, my Jon Snow, Kit Harington, he's here too. He's having fun. Maybe he was busy with Game of Thrones, so I'm not that mad that he's not here all that much either. But still, like I said, third act's here. The action fight scene is crazy with the ships on fire and stuff. Is super cool. But still, the villains are a minus. Still, I don't know their names. Who are they? I mean, I understand that they want to destroy Burke and have a army of Vikings because Ra were evil. Want to take over the world. Want to destroy Burke. Blah, blah, blah. That's boring. That's lame. I don't care about him. Our main villain is a dragon trapper. That's his entire thing. What's his name? I don't know. I don't care. That's his name. That's who he is. I don't know. He's a dragon trapper. He traps dragons, and that's it. That's his entire thing. That's very it. He's fairly one-dimensional. Super cool. He has a lot of aura, I'm not going to lie, but still, he's boring. Kind of lame. Not really a fan of him. But still, villains are still a minus. It feels like I said, hey, I'm conflict guy A. This is B, C, and D. We're all here to mess stuff up. And, it's like, okay, cool. You're here. I know that we're not really here for the villains, and that's, whatever, but still, they could have tried at least a little bit to make it a little bit better, I think. The third act, I feel, is so quick with the Bane fight stuff, but the third act really does lie in them saying goodbye to the dragons. That's the main moment in this entire trilogy. Maybe the best scene of the entire trilogy, I'm not going to lie. It's a top 3 for sure. But that's the main third act right there. Them saying goodbye to the dragons is everything. It's incredibly heartbreaking. That sequence is everything. I mean, seeing Hiccup, him realizing that humans will maybe never deserve the presence of dragons ever again. Dragons will maybe never be safe with them. Humans in the regular world, them sharing the world, they may never be safe. The best place for the dragons is the hidden world. That's their world. That's where they belong, is there. It's definitely a very hard moment to watch, but one that Hiccup understands this is what has to be done. It's not something that he maybe wants to do, but he understands this is what I need to do as chief for the safety of us and for the dragons. They need to go away forever. It's not what he wanted to do, but one that he had to make, and that's something that we may all have to do as adults, saying goodbye or making the tough choices that, hey, I don't really want to do this, but I have to, because it's something that I have to do as a responsibility. And, them saying goodbye, I definitely cried. I could have cried a lot harder here, but still, this moment will always hit home and be everything. That's the incredible, beautiful climax of all of this. It's great. I love it all. And then, after this, it doesn't really take away from the moment. I wouldn't say that, but maybe it's a plus and a minus. Hiccup and Astrid obviously get married, which is a fun, sweet moment, definitely long overdue. I love seeing, Hiccup and Astrid and their kids going to see Toothless and the dragons again. That moment is a beautiful climax. I definitely do think it's great seeing them reunite as, they're both fathers now and they're still friends and everything. I love seeing their mirrored journeys throughout this entire trilogy. It's been beautiful. First movie, he loses a leg and Toothless loses his tail. Second movie, Hiccup becomes chief, and then Toothless becomes king of the dragons. That's super cool. The third movie, seeing that both of them become fathers, both of them become leaders of their tribe, it's cool. It's a very cool moment to see. But still, I feel like it may take away from this moment a little bit. Like we had a few seconds ago, they had to say goodbye to them. Then literally like 5 minutes later, they're back again with the dragons. It's a very sweet climax, this trilogy. But still, I feel like maybe we could have been without it. I feel like this could have been something that was added like very last minute. Like, okay, that ending was very sad. We had to make it happy a little bit, which I do appreciate. That's mainly for me. I was very sad, but seeing them reunite is very fun. But still, I feel like it could have been without it. I could have feel like they could have done away with that ending. Having them reunite, it's a very fun moment. I love the fight sequences again. But still, does it ruin it? a little bit. It does kind of ruin the moment again, but still, a great trilogy. I love these movies. I love it. I love it all. Still, my score for this film is a B+. I'll give it a B+. Solid movie. Is it the best in the trilogy? No, it's first film, but still, overall, this trilogy is insane. I love it always. Love it when I was a teeny little kid, like 5 years old, and still, I love it as a 21-year-old adult. That shows real growth. I love these films. I always will. Thank you, How to Train Your Dragon. They killed it. They crushed it. And now the question does become, where do we go from here? Well, number one, after this, we're going into superlative, so we have awards and MVP to give out, so that's going to be really fun to do. But still, all seriousness aside, where are we going to go as we go into the live-action movie? Am I excited for the live-action movie? How do I feel about it? Am I mad about it? No, I'm not mad about this new live-action movie. I don't hate it. I do love this story still. I think that if this story is going to be told in live action and be able to touch the lives of younger kids again, like I was very young at the time watching that How to Train Your Dragon movie, if they can do that again with a live action movie, then I'm all here for that. I'm all here for art inspiring and definitely having a massive emotional impact on people's lives. I'm always going to be here for that. That's something that I'm just all game for all the time. But still, am I mad that it's happening? Am I mad about them doing a live action movie for a movie that doesn't need to happen? Am I mad? Maybe a teeny bit. I'm a little bit upset. It's kind of annoying. I definitely do think that live action fatigue is real. That's something that has definitely been happening. Lilo and Stitch this year, also Snow White live action this year. Our live action thing with Mufasa last year was an original movie, but still, that movie sucked. It was terrible. But still, am I going to be seeing this movie? No, I'm not seeing it. Maybe yet. I mean, never say never. Am I seeing it opening night? Definitely not. I'm going to go see The Materialist first, which is from my girl Celine's song, She's the GOAT. So I'm going to be seeing that first for sure. But still, am I going to be seeing this new live action movie? Eventually. If it's streaming, maybe I'll catch it there. But am I, in a rush to see it? Not yet. But, we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm not sure. But still, am I excited? Yeah and no. Yes and no. I don't feel really any strong feelings at all towards this thing in any way. It could be better than the original trilogy. It also could be worse than the original trilogy. We already know that the sequel for this live action thing is confirmed. It's already in production or pre-production, I guess, right now. So that's something that's going to be happening very soon. Maybe 2020, I don't know. Whenever it happens, it'll happen. I think that, it's cool seeing Dean DeBlois come back as writer-director. He wrote and directed the first trilogy here. He's come back to do it again. That's always going to be fun to see. I always do really appreciate that. Like I said, Gerard Butler, he's coming back too in the role as Stoic the Vast. That's all I could really ask for. I have no hate at all towards anyone involved with this movie. All the actors, all the directors and writers, you all have my love. I wish them the best of luck with this movie. I hope it works out. I hope it comes out good. That's really all I can say. And also the cast looks solid too. We have Mason Thomas coming in as Hiccup in this movie, which I think is cool. He's fun. Nico Parker, I love her. She's my celebrity crush right now. She's gorgeous, and I might see just for her. She's awesome. Gerard Butler, Nick Frost, etc. A solid cast. I think that they're all going to do solid work, and maybe this trilogy might be better. Who knows? I love that with Invincible. Watching Invincible right now, the creator of the comic is involved with the show, and he's talked about a lot of times how doing the show for Invincible is almost him rewriting the Invincible comic, so there's going to be all of the main story beats for Invincible, but still he's rewriting it to be, produced better. He's, rewriting the story to have a better pacing, have new things come into the show that wasn't in the comic at all, which I do think is definitely very apparent with the show for Invincible. And maybe that'll happen with this new How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. He might go far, Dean DeBlois might go far to make it better than the animated movies, do things that he wasn't able to do in the animated stuff. It could be really good. We'll have to see. I'm very excited for it. I wish them the best of luck. I hope this film does very good. Go see it if you want to. Form your own opinion. I'll never tell you not to see a movie, but I will tell you to go see it to see if you like it and see if you think it's maybe worth your time. Who knows? I'll let you find out, let you decide. I'll let you be the judge of that. So really, the episode's over. If you want to go, you can go. If you want to stay, we're doing Buzz from the Backlot. It's a big thing we do all the time here. Fun facts and shenanigans. So let's go into it right now.
You are a blowfish.
What? Lady, whatever you're selling, I ain't buying, yo.
Well, my name is Skylar White, yo.
I get a spot? Okay.
So, like I said, we're here for superlatives. The first things we're going to go into is our best scene from the movie. The best scene, I think, is one, them saying goodbye, and also with love comes loss. That flashback with Stoic and Hiccup is, like I said, that's the entire movie. To cap off this entire trilogy, that's the one scene that sells the entire film, which I really, really do enjoy. And the scene of them saying goodbye, I cried like a baby, so I had to love it here. My favorite quote, said it before, I'll say it again for you, but still, it's the quote of Stoic saying with love comes loss. That's the best quote in the entire movie. Best scene, best quote, that's it right there. If this film was a song, what would it be? I think Phoebe Bridgers' Scott Street, that would be the song that I would say is the movie. It encapsulates it perfectly about, being sad and having a lot of heartbreak. So, for our next thing is Buzz from the Backlots. Buzz from the Backlot is film fun facts. That's it. Don't get too excited. That's all it is. Just film fun facts. I got 3 fun facts here for you. So for number 1, our first fun fact is that How to Train Your Dragon is the first animated franchise in history to have 3 films or more have all of them nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film. Which you may be saying, is that true? What about Toy Story? Listen, let me explain to you real fast. The Academy Award for Best Animated Feature Film didn't happen until 2002 Academy Awards. So just so you're aware and you're not saying that I'm a liar, Toy Story, that happened in 1995, and then Toy Story 2 happened in 1999. So it happened and came out before, the award was released. So therefore, it's kind of stingy, but still, whatever. That's still a true fact that this movie and this whole franchise, all of them nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, deserving so. And, maybe it's like a LeBron stat, but still, it's true. So you got to go on with it. Just like how, random fun fact, the NBA Finals are happening right now, and they just came out with a random award or stat line that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the most points in his first 2 finals game in NBA history. He has more finals points in his first 2 games than it was Allen Iverson, Jokic, and some other guys. I think it was Shaq too or something like that, whatever. He has the most in his first 2 career finals games, but it's like, it's kind of a weird, stingy stat patty award just to say that he's better than Jokic, but still, it's true, so we got to go along with it because the narrative says so. Sorry, getting distracted. Going on to the second fun fact here, not everyone in this movie was returning for their roles. TJ Miller was not in this movie. Justin Rubble replaced TJ Miller as the voice of Tough Nut after TJ's destructive behavior made headlines in mid-2018. So, had to replace the voice actor because of some bad actions. That's a random fun fact that you may not have known. But still, if you're on a Tinder date and you need to, tell your Tinder date, hey, did you know that TJ Miller wasn't involved in How to Train Your Dragon 3 because of some random headlines in 2018? You can tell them that in your next date because, you're a really fun guy who has a ton of fun movie facts. So, go for that. And for our last and final fun fact of the day here, in the early drafts of the film, Drago Bloodfist was planned to reprise his role as the movie's main villain and be redeemed by the end of the story. In a recent interview with Clone Web, it was revealed that Drago's redemption and overall return was scrapped halfway through the movie and its production. So, my thing is that maybe, it's not really confirmed at all by any means, we still have to go through the first live-action movie, the second live-action movie, then the third live-action movie, but still, like I said, this attempt with the new live-action stuff, it's attempt for them to rewrite these movies and remake them to be maybe more of what they wanted them to be, and maybe just, have some new stuff in them. So my theory, what if Drago came back in the third live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie? Once again, we have a lot of hoops to jump through before we get there, but still, it could happen. I'm just saying that maybe this whole live-action thing isn't as bad as you may make it out to seem. Maybe it's them finding a way to, recontextualize for new audiences and do a lot of cool, fun stuff. So like I said, we'll see what happens. that's our Buzz from the Backlot fun facts. 3 really cool ones. And for the MVP, I will give it to Jay Baruchel for the role of Hiccup. Who else would I give it to? I mean, come on. He's the GOAT. He's really that guy. And he played the part just perfectly. I don't know if anyone else can do Hiccup like he can, at least in voice acting form. You know, the live action guy is going to do a great job. Absolutely no hate to him or anyone involved with that movie. I'm definitely wishing them nothing but the best from our whole group of over 1,000 team members here at the Court of Cinema podcast. Wish them and their entire crew nothing but love and hugs and kisses, because I'm a How to Train Your Dragon fan from day one, so I got to support it the entire way through, always. But, you know, just like that, that's it. You know, we're done. We're going to wrap it up here. That is the last time we're going to talk about the How to Train Your Dragon animated movies. The next time will be the live action stuff, because, you know, I can never really get rid of this franchise. I love it for all time. I have it on Blu-ray on my shelf, and I'm always going to be a fan of these movies. I love all of them with my entire heart, my entire well-being. And now the big thing is finding the next whole franchise to go through. What's going to be my next podcast series? I don't know. I got some thinking to do right now. We're still going through the Superman stuff right now too. Man of Steel's happening on Friday. I have a lot of great things to say about them. It's going to be a great episode on Friday for Man of Steel. But still, overall, I love you, How to Train Your Dragon. A final goodbye to these movies. I love them, like, a lot, if you couldn't tell. I'm always going to love them. They've just done so much for me in my life, and I will always, with all my heart, love these films more than I could even describe. I can't really take any words in the human dictionary and combine them to say just how much I love these movies. I really do love these movies. But still, with love comes loss. It's time for me to say goodbye to these films for a little bit. We'll see them again very soon, but for now, we gotta say goodbye. So, until next time, stay swagged out, stay cool, watch more movies, watch How to Train Your Dragon, the animated and the live action. Until then, I'm your slogan. I'll see you boys in the movie.